us all thank Deadpool for making this all possible. Thank you, Deadpool. It's not even Deadpool 1, it's Deadpool 2, but you get the idea. But he is in the beginning of this movie if you saw it in theaters, but we'll talk more on that in just a second. But welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. It's March, and kind of like last week, we have one really good movie to start the show off, and then some lesser stuff. So let's start with the good stuff here. Let's start off with my favorite movie of 2017, and that is, of course, Logan. In 2029, so that means we got 3 more years before this becomes a reality. So get on it, everybody. We only got 3 more years left. In 2029, the mutant population has shrunk significantly, and the X-Men have disbanded. Logan, whose power to self-heal is dwindling, has surrendered himself to alcohol and now earns a living as a chauffeur. He takes care of an ailing old Professor X who he keeps hidden away. One day, a female stranger asks Logan to drive a girl named Laura, played by Daphne Keane, to the Canadian border. At first he refuses, but the professor has been waiting for a long time for her to appear. Laura possesses an extraordinary fighting prowess that is in many ways like Wolverine. She is pursued by sinister figures working for a powerful corporation. This is because her DNA contains the secret that connects her to Logan. A relentless pursuit begins. In this third climactic outing featuring the Marvel comic book character Wolverine, we see the superheroes beset by everyday problems. They are aging, ailing, and struggling to survive financially. A decrepit Logan is forced to ask himself if he can or even wants to put his remaining powers to good use. It would appear that in the near future, the times in which they were able to put the words to rights with razor-sharp claws and telepathic powers are now over. This is, of course, based off of the classic comic book series Old Man Logan. And needless to say, the X-Men franchise has certainly been on a roller coaster the past few years, haven't they? You know, just when you think you've hit the high mark with Days of Future Past, and Deadpool, you followed up with stuff like The Last Stand, The Wolverine, X-Men Apocalypse. I mean, after such a disappointing mess in Apocalypse, everyone was just waiting for Fox to finally sell the rights back to Marvel on the X-Men franchise. But then again, you get a film like this with Logan, and it makes you realize that Fox clearly still has some fuel in the fire for X-Men, and boy, did they give people what they wanted to see with Logan or what. I mean, this was a great movie, man. For anyone who was waiting for that more grittier and intense Wolverine that they've been hoping somebody would do, this movie is definitely it. This is a movie that the X-Men characters... This is a movie that if the X-Men characters were back with Marvel over at Disney, they could never make this movie. Which, funny enough, later on in the year, that's when Disney eventually bought up 20th Century Fox, because that deal first came out at the end of in the middle of December. We'll touch more on that later on, but before this was a movie that I really didn't think Disney would probably ever do, and really, you couldn't really blame them for it. I mean, it took them until Deadpool and Wolverine to become the success that it was, to show that you could do an R-rated comic book movie at Disney, and it could be successful, but up until then, this was probably the best advantage of X-Men sticking with Fox, so they can make a more adult, grittier, and more violent movie, which can be seen as both a pro and a con in the future. I think we've seen the cons of what happens when you try to do a comic book movie outside of Disney and Marvel that's rated R, the Sony films, for example, especially Kraven the Hunter. But this movie is Wolverine at his absolute best. Much like how The Dark Knight was the definitive movie character for Batman, this is the definitive movie movie for the character of Wolverine. Hugh Jackman really did see so much in this to make sure he goes out on a high note. And as you may now know, I mean, this was supposed to be the last movie that he was gonna do after 17 years. You know, after appearing in every X-Men movie, whether it was a starring role or a cameo, he fought tooth and nail to make this what it was. And one of the things I heard that Jackman was that he took a big pay cut for this to be rated R and allowed for the character to be more like he is in the comic books. For somebody to go to all that trouble to see what the result is, he gives it his all in this movie, so kudos to him. And once again, we thought that this was going to be the end of this character, but as we've seen before in the past, you know, you can't really kill off you can't really kill off these movie characters, just like you can't really kill off the comic book characters. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the MCU after Iron Man got killed off in Endgame, even though he's playing a different character. I mean, it's just like, I mean, that was supposed to be his swan song as Iron Man, but all a good time. We'll get to that one, but Jackson really does give the best performance as this character, being portrayed as a much older, much grumpier, and more miserly version of this character, as the script for this is inspired by, as I said, the Old Man Wolverine graphic novels, and he's terrific in this. This is a movie that probably should have gotten him an Oscar nomination for this. I mean, he definitely deserved it, but of course, this was back when the Oscars pretended that the first 10 months of the year didn't exist, and so any movie that was released in November, December, that was going to get Oscars regardless, unless it was a big movie, a groundbreaking movie like Get Out, for example, was one of the few examples where they did give that some Oscar love. But even Patrick Stewart as Xavier in this is great, giving him an Oscar-worthy performance again in this, and he really is great in this. He has a lot of the more comedic moments in this. You don't get to usually hear him swearing up a storm, but man, when you first see him, he's just swearing up with F-bombs and all that. It's just like, yeah, he's giving it his all in this movie, man. The most surprising aspect of this movie is X-23, played by Daphne Keane, who is really, really good in this movie. And for the first two-thirds of this film, she does not speak, and a lot of her performance is more focused on her facial expressions, much like characters like Gromit and Shaun the Sheep, except here, it's much more menacing and threatening, and she shows it here. And true, when she speaks in the final 30 minutes, a lot of what makes her such a unique character kind of goes away, but never does to the point where it ruins the course of the movie. In fact, you know, when she comes back in Deadpool and Wolverine, and she's talking more in that movie, it's not like, it doesn't hurt the overall feeling of the movie, but I like movies where you don't really need to have a lot of dialogue to really understand your characters in general. It doesn't hurt this movie in general, but I don't know. It was just like a small little nitpicky thing here and there, but I'll touch on some more of the nitpicks later on. But the action sequences are really good here. The gore and the violence are pretty brutal. They earn the R rating for the right reasons. This is how you make an R-rated superhero movie. For God's sakes, DC Extended Universe, take some fucking notes when you do R-rated movies in the future, man, because this is how you do it. The film is essentially a buddy road movie, but more dramatized, and you can definitely see that with the inspiration like Hell or High Water, as well as some of the movies that James Mangold, the director of this, mentioned, like Shane, Paper Moon, The Gauntlet, even a little bit of Little Miss Sunshine. It's impressive how they took a comic book character like Wolverine and made this interesting character study about him and his way of viewing the world in general. And much like how this is like The Dark Knight, you never know how it's going to end for these characters until the very end. You'll never see how Wolverine meets his maker until the very end, and it hooks you on the edge of your seat to keep your interest out. You're waiting for that moment to happen in general, and when it does, it pays off nicely. Now, granted, there are a couple little nitpicky things. The scene does kind of drag on a little bit. Also, a little too much symbolism in it, you know. Symbolism for your film brain lovers out there. Bad movie beatdown, all that. Specifically, the very last shot of the movie, which, yeah, it's a shot where, you know, they bury Wolverine. And, I mean, I get why they did it. You know, this was supposed to be the last time you were supposed to see him, but I just thought they were doing it a little too much. And if they had not done it with what they had done with that just one little last mention that you're indeed watching an X-Men movie, I really felt like you could have just left it at the end without what they did, and I would have been much happier with it. Not saying that I'm not happy with what it came from it overall, but I will also say that the opening Deadpool short, which was good, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like, you know, it was basically a scene where Deadpool's walking through this dirty-looking town, and you know he's trying to he's trying to get out of he's trying to be like Superman, getting out of his uniform in the phone booth while this guy's getting beat the fuck up, and then, you know, too little too late, the guy gets shot, and it's fun and all that, but at the same time, it feels kind of pointless when you really think about it. I mean, I think it was more of a way to show everybody what the new director of Deadpool 2, David Leitch, was going to bring to the table, because he directed that short, and I mean, it's not a bad short at all. It just feels kind of unnecessary to throw it in there. It felt kind of pointless to me, but it was still fun overall. I did really enjoy it, but Logan overall is a great movie. It's the movie itself, perfect. Terrific film. It does for Wolverine what The Dark Knight did for Batman. It gives this beloved character a definitive movie of his own that works acting-wise, story-wise, action-wise, and just overall fun-wise. Hugh Jackman ended what should have been his tenure as Wolverine, and Patrick Stewart ends his Xavier run, again, like he should have had with this film, on the highest note possible in a movie that delivers on every promise it can give us and makes you wonder what the future of the X-Men franchise holds after this. Especially Fox R-rated comic book films. Now, you got 3 of them with Kingsman. They're 3 for 3. Kingsman: The Secret Service, Deadpool, and now this. And we all thought, okay, Kingsman: The Golden Circle coming out later in the year is going to be the next great one. Not so much. We'll touch on that later on. But as for the X-Men franchise future, yeah, not really all that great. I mean, Deadpool 2 was great, but, yeah, Dark Phoenix, New Mutants, no, not so much. But, okay, we will get to those later on here. But nevertheless, Logan definitely is the best movie of 2017. It's my favorite film of the year. It should have been a big awards contender. It's a film that definitely deserved more than it got what it, did. But, Logan's a great movie. My favorite film of the year, 2017's best film, Logan. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to the crap. Let's go ahead and take a look at Sam Worthington and Octavia Spencer starring in The Shack.
My mailbox with no tracks in the snow.
There are no tracks.
Somebody put it there. Come on, man. Got the fire going inside if you want to warm up.
We're so happy you accepted our invitation.
Who are you?
On March 3rd.
Why did you bring me here?
He's still having a hard time believing this is real.
You're invited to the movie event.
It's time to let go. This is your flying lesson.
The Shack in theaters March 3rd.
Yeah, they killed him. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me at all if this was actually a prequel to Ma, with Octavia Spencer playing the same character from that movie. I mean, could you really not see that with this? I mean, come on. The story follows Worthington as a grieving father who, after suffering a family tragedy, receives a mysterious invitation to visit the shack deep in the wilderness, where he confronts his darkest fears and experiences a transformative spiritual journey. So yeah, this is a movie that's like a mix between The Lake House and What Dreams May Come, except neither one of those movies' greatness is in this film here. This is kind of a... this is the typical definition of a emotionally manipulative film that's going to appease conservatives and Christian faith-based groups out there, and maybe, who knows, maybe they can win an Oscar for it. I know they didn't, but I'll tell you this much, one of the names in here that I did not expect to see was Destin Daniel Cretton, and if you don't know who that name is, you should know him because he recently directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and he's most recently working on Spider-Man Brand New Day, so yeah, they brought a little bit of the MCU into this, except yeah, the movie itself really isn't worth it. I mean, yeah, it's a movie where I get what they're trying to go with here. I get what they're trying to establish here, but it's just one of those movies that feels like it's really forcing itself on the Christian faith-based audiences. And even the Christian faith-based audiences didn't even like this movie in general. I mean, this thing was attacked for controversy because of its portrayal of an unorthodox theology. You know, one of the theologians who described this film, its depiction of God the Father, Jesus Christ, and Holy Spirit, as profoundly unbiblical, and there was like a bunch of others too. So, if you're even pissing off the conservatives on this film, then you're really not doing your job very well here with this film. So, yeah, that's a hard skip on The Shack, unfortunately. So, let's go ahead and see what the rest of the weekend has to offer us. Let's take a look at Before I Fall.
Hey, sexy. Seriously?
Sarah, big party tonight. My mom's going out of town.
Hey, sexy. Seriously? I'm freaking out.
What's wrong?
I'm living the same day over and over again. This is happening for a reason. I just need to figure it out.
Before I Fall, rated PG-13.
So it's basically Happy Death Day, except Happy Death Day was much better than this was. But, yeah, I really don't remember too much about this movie. I didn't even know it was this type of a film, but I saw who directed this movie, and she made a movie that, was not a fan of. The Sun is also a star, one of the most pretentious pieces of garbage ever, so, well, maybe not ever, but you get the whole idea. But, let's take a look at this movie here, because like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really tell you much about it, but I can tell you at least what the story about it is. What if you only had one day to change absolutely everything? Samantha Kingston, played by Zoe Deutsch, the daughter of Leah Thompson, has it all: the perfect friends, the perfect guy, and a seemingly perfect future. Then everything changes. After one fateful night, Sam wakes up with no future at all. Trapped reliving the same day over and over, she begins to question just how perfect her life really is. And as she begins to untangle the mystery of a life suddenly derailed, she must also unwind the secrets of the people closest to her, and discover the power of a single day to make a difference not just in her life, but in the lives of those around her, before she runs out of time for good. So yeah, like I said, I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really tell you if it's any good or not, but I will say this, though. It doesn't have as bad of a reviews that I would think that this movie would have, considering that there's no memorability to it in terms of, you know, you never hear people talking about, you know, you gotta see this movie, you gotta talk about this movie, or remember this great movie from the past and all that, but, yeah, no one ever really talks about it, but, I mean, it does have decent reviews, 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, 58 out of 100 on Metacritic, so, I mean, it could be good. It could be okay, at least, but I really do feel like a movie like Happy Death Day, which came out later in the year, kind of pushed everybody away from this particular movie, because that movie, Happy Death Day, did it so much better, and this one just feels like, you know, I mean, it's just taking the Groundhog Day format, except probably not doing it as good of a job in general here, but, like I said, there is some good talent involved in this that does kind of make me want to see it. Zoe Deutsch, Houston Sage, Logan Miller, Diego Boneta, Jennifer Beals. You know, you can't go wrong with Jennifer Beals, but, But yeah, I haven't seen this movie, so I can't really say if it's any good or not. But yeah, the fact that it does have some decent reviews and people aren't saying that it's a terrible movie gives me at least somewhat confidence to maybe one day check it out. But it's not going to be anytime soon. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is Anna Kendrick leading the ensemble wedding comedy Table 19.
We didn't think you'd be coming.
You broke up with me over text? Good luck with your future endeavors. Were you firing me? What
Right here. You okay? No, not okay.
Did you also request a singles table?
No, I got dumped by the best man.
What if you went away with something better?
What are we doing?
We're dancing. And maybe making somebody jealous.
Table 19, rated PG-13, in theaters everywhere March 3rd.
Bitch, that's your own fault for breaking up with Anna Kendrick. I don't care about your priorities and all that type of stuff. Anna Kendrick's my girlfriend. I'm doing everything in my power to make sure she stays my girlfriend and eventually my wife. Because, yeah, I mean, if I can't have Jennifer Lawrence, Anna Kendrick would be my number 2. Number 2 or number 3. I think Allison Brie was before that, but, I mean, it varies overall. But we're not here to talk about my love life. What love life I have, but anyway, this is Table 19. Anna Kendrick stars as an ex-maid of honor who, having been relieved of her duties after being unceremoniously dumped by the best man via text, decides to hold her head up high and attend her oldest friend's wedding anyway. She finds herself seated at the random table in the back of the ballroom with a disparate group of strangers, most of whom should have known to just send regrets, but not before sending something nice off the registry. As everyone's secrets are revealed, Eloise learns a thing or two about from the denizens of Table 19. Friendships and even a little romance can happen under the most unlikely circumstances. And there is a big cast involved in this movie. You've got Craig Robinson, June Squibb, Lisa Kudrow, Stephen Merchant, Tony Revolvi, Wyatt Russell, Amanda Crew, Maria Thayer, Margot Martindale. There is an excellent cast involved in this movie. This is made by a good director, Jeffrey Blitz, who has done a lot of stuff for The Office. He's done a lot of stuff for Review, The Andrew Daly Show. So this should be good, but it really is not. And it really suffers because they have all these people in this movie, but they didn't really give them much to do in terms of a good script and all that. Someone from Rolling Stone, I think, summed it up nicely, saying that, it's an uneven mismatch of Wes Anderson quirk, John Cassavetes' gut-spilling, and The Breakfast Club, all of which somehow managed to dampen the touts of its crack ensemble cast. And that's David Fuhr from Rolling Stone who wrote that, and he's absolutely right, because it definitely feels like you're not really getting anything from this particular movie. Like, why are we supposed to connect with all these different people here? They just think it's like, I get it. You want to make conversation. You want to try to get something from this situation that you're in. I get it, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, what's the point? Like, what are we supposed to take away from this? What's supposed to be the big life lessons we're supposed to take away from it? When the people got together in The Breakfast Club, they were a bunch of mismatched people too, but they found connections and they found a way to understand one another, and that's why those relationships in that movie still hold up after all this time. But this, it feels like somebody was trying way too hard to try to make a new generation Breakfast Club and kind of failed miserably at it. You should have done a whole lot better with everyone involved in this movie. Everyone in here is a really good actor in this, and they deserve a lot better than this. And it just feels like, it really does feel like they were given nothing to do except to just, come up with some conversation and we'll write a movie around it. It just doesn't feel like the best efforts were being put into this film, and it definitely shows. So yeah, it's a major disappointment overall, especially for someone like Anna Kendrick, who I really like as an actress. It's not her fault the movie is bad. It's not the actor's fault the movie is terrible. It's just there's nothing going on in the film to make it worth it in the end. It's a boring movie, even at 90 minutes long. It drags on and on and on. It's just like, get on with it already. We need a reason to be here. It just doesn't work. It's a very boring film. Nothing about these characters are interesting whatsoever, and there's no motivation going on in this film that makes it worth it in the long run. It's just a disjointed mess of a film. What more can you say, man? Table 19, this is a type of table that you should be avoiding, to just not be around these uninteresting people whatsoever. They may look like good people overall, but their stories are not worthy enough to be filling up your time at this wedding in general. But then again, it's a wedding. What do you expect? What are you expecting to do there? But I'm just kind of rambling on at this point, so let's go ahead and wrap this episode up. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and guess what, folks? double feature weekend next time around, and one of the bigger ones we've ever done, because we've only got one big new release for March 10th, and that is the second film of the MonsterVerse after Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, which features a couple of MCU regulars in this film: Tom Hiddleston, the soon-to-be Captain Marvel Brie Larson, as well as Samuel L. Jackson, along with John C. Reilly and John Goodman among the cast. And then the following weekend we have Disney's latest live-action release, Beauty and the Beast, which Emma Watson starring as Belle, and directed by Bill Condon, and featuring an all-star cast that includes Kevin Kline, Ewan McGregor, Emma Thompson. Should be a good movie, but not so much. But we also have the Belko Experiment, and Danny Boyle makes a sequel to Trainspotting, because why not? T2 Trainspotting. And Terrence Malick is back with a new movie, Song to Song. So yeah, we got a lot of... So 5 films overall, covering 2 different weekends. So double feature weekend coming your way next time around here. That'll be, of course, tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. With all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.